Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Eddie Marcus here again. Recently, I've been hearing people talk about their near death experience. And so, I think I'd share mine with you. Mine began at my birth. First of all, I am the child of a child. In fact, when I was born, I went to the oldest people in my family, my great grandparents. And they were the ones that were more or less connected to slavery at that time. I remember one time I was about sixth grade, and I lived in Mississippi, a little school down in Itta Bena called Ellis Rogers, located at Mississippi Valley State University. They were having a May Days program, and this is when you get a chance to come together. All the kids, they play games. You bring out some entertainers to come out and do something. Some guys whipping whips, maybe throwing some knives, because this was back in the 50s, so in the early 60s. So that's what was going on back in the South at that time. So on this particular day, I wanted to do something for a girl I liked. Now, we were sixth grade at the time. But usually when we go to school, you have 6 cents to buy a box of chocolate milk and you take a sandwich. And that's what you had for the day. So I know we had no money, but I decided to go in my grandpa's pocket that night and see if I could find an extra dime or something so I can buy my girlfriend a hot dog, maybe a Coca-Cola. But I went to his wallet, and his wallet was kind of thick. I said, well, maybe let me get $1. I got the dollar out. I thought, wow, that kind of thick. Let me get another dollar. He wouldn't miss it. Let me get another dollar. So I would call myself getting $3 out. And took the $3, found out the next day they were $20 bills. And rather than return it, I went as a sixth grader, buying me watches and bicycles and stuff. Things were kind of cheap back in those days. But to make a long story short, I got the worst beating than I ever had in my life. My great grandfather took me, stripped me naked, tied me up like a slave, put my hands over my knees, stuck a stick between them so I couldn't get up, throw my butt in the floor. My grandma got a strap, so I beat my butt on one side. I don't care how much I cried, how much I screamed, they flipped the other side, and I thought I was about to die, and so I got quiet and I said a prayer. I said, God help me. The moment I said that, the ropes broke. I ran out of the house, buck naked at night. But that was my first experience in relationship with knowing God. I'd heard about God. I grew up in the church. So that was my first near-death experience as far as I saw it. But I was a young man, stupid, most like young people are, thinking they know everything. Had been going out to a lake to swim, couldn't swim, but that's where we went as black people. Had no swimming pool, nothing like that. And so there were guys who could swim, but we young guys, I think I'm maybe now about 7th or 8th grade, we dog paddle. You know how you learn how to dog paddle while everybody else is out in the lake. I'm one of those guys who want to learn quick. And so I decided that I'll go out there one day when none of the big guys were out there with inner tubes or out in a big lake that could swim. I'd go out there when no one was out there but me. Or maybe, I think I've said this several times, when maybe there were some other kids out there younger than me. But I went out there and I decided I was going to swim. I was going to dog paddle. Well, my plan was to swim across the lake. But to start off, I was going to dog paddle. And I was going to get out of the low water, get in the deep water, and I was going to start stroking. Sometime after I got it there, started stroking, I guess I started moving. I got some distance, and then I looked down the stream. And I saw, what you call them, trunks coming out of the water. A stump or whatever you want to call it. And on it was a moccasin. And scared the hell out of me because I screamed. And the snake turned around and looked at me and dropped in the water. All it was on. I didn't know what to do. I started screaming. I turned around and I started splashing water. I knew it was splashing water because that's all I saw. It didn't look like I was moving. And so I just said to myself, it's time. And the next thing I know, I was at that bank climbing out of it. But you know what got me? That snake came right up behind me, went over in some very, very shallow water, curved up, raised his head up and just stared at me as I ran my naked butt up that hill, getting out of that area. Now, for a while there, I thought, I really can't swim. I was able to outrun a snake. I was able to outrun a snake. It didn't cross my mind, but I was just so happy. Not long after then, it hit me. How did that happen? And then it dawned on me. The message came that I didn't outrun that snake. What had happened, I was going to get my butt drowned. and the spirit of that with protection into that snake and took control of that snake and put that snake on my behind and chased my butt out of there so I wouldn't drown. As far as I was concerned, when I realized that, that was my second death, near-death experience. Because I was right there. I know people, friends who died right there, died all the time, right there. Couldn't do any better than I. But I survived and they didn't. So it must be for a reason. I'm still here. And so, but that was not the real major. I've had a couple of those, but one more that really solidifies why I'm able to stand before you. I was maybe a year older. I didn't chopping cotton in Mississippi again. And I was chopping, you got your row. For those of you who are from the South, you know what it means to chop cotton. And so I'm straddling one and I'm chopping the other. And all of a sudden, I can't move. I'm paralyzed. Fear comes over me. The hair on the back of my neck is standing up. I cannot move. I don't know why. I stood there for a moment. I calmed down. I said, wow, what was that? And I began to continue. As I got ready to drop that hoe back down to chop some grass, something snapped. I dropped that hoe. It flew out of my hand. Something snatched me around and turned me around screaming and hollering. I didn't know why. People asked, Eddie, what's wrong? I said, I didn't know. I just ran till I felt safe. And then after that, I came back to investigate to find out what happened. And when I came back to find out what happened, what did I find out? Right in my next step while I was finna stand with a big cottonmouth markers, and right up in that cotton finna hit me on between my legs. Wow. So that told me that when I was in that lake, I was saved because I couldn't swim. I know I couldn't swim because I went back to another lake at another time. And it was difficult swimming. It wasn't as easy as I thought. So I knew. But at this particular time, I didn't have to do anything, just be there. And there was a power that I couldn't see, couldn't touch, couldn't feel, saw everything. Decided to grab me in a way that I could not make a decision. I just had to respond. And I responded, and that was my protection. That was the power that I could see. It wasn't the president of the United States. It wasn't a black man who runs everything. It wasn't a human being on the face of earth that run nothing. It was me in danger that needed some help. And there was a power that I couldn't see, but I got the help. I got the help. When I came back and I see what happened, I knew it was God. And ladies and gentlemen, I made a commitment. Not at that time. I just accepted the fact later on that there was God. But I accepted the fact that God did that for a purpose. And what was my purpose? My purpose in my whole life is seeing people that suffer. That's my big thing I can't stand, seeing people suffer. Let me see how much time I got. Well, no, let me keep on. Seeing people suffer. So I wanted to do something about it. So after I got a little bit older, close to 29 or something like that, I decided that my decision had to be made. I had to start looking out for people who needed help. Because everybody else was looking out for themselves, it seemed, because they were trying to get that money. That's all they were living for. Get the money, get the money, get the money. You can do this, you can do this, you can do this. There's a lot of things coming on the side, but you got to get the money. Nobody was thinking about what can you do to make things right. I spent my whole life thinking about that. But I didn't really know what happened, but as working as a counselor with the Veterans Administration wasn't helping me. So I quit the Veterans Administration. I had a wonderful wife at that time who said, I didn't marry a guy who's going to change the world. I married a man who's going to make the world for us. And so she decided to dump me. I'm not angry with her. She didn't marry a man she married a man who might become president of the United States. But he definitely was not there trying to make everything right for everybody. And so when that hit me, it scared the hell out of her. And so she ran. And that's beautiful. I'm not knocking it. But anyway, I had to go through some changes to continue to learn. I ended up with a different wife who I've been with now for about 40 years, the best, sweetest, most wonderful woman I ever met in my life outside my mother. This woman has carried and footed the bill of life ever since we've been together for everything. All I've been doing is out here trying to wake y'all up, wake us up so we can see God and change our ways. And she's footed the bill every way. Now, doing that for 40 years, she might be tired of that now because things are tight. Things are tight. Everything called more money, more money, more money. And I'm still talking about God said we don't need money. So here it is, ladies and gentlemen. Hold on one second. I just want to see if I'm still recording. Yes, I guess I am. Still recording. How much more time I got? This says I'm still recording. So I may come on back with and trust it. So I think, ladies and gentlemen, it's basically this. My whole purpose, what God has taught me is this. And this is why I'm standing here today, to say this to you. All of us on earth came here and we all got the Spirit of God in us. But it's covered with indoctrination. It's covered with deception that we've received since we've been on this earth. And what God is really all about, we've missed it. But every now and then, God sends somebody to tell you what you need to know. Now, there have been people with different near-death experiences as I hear them. I hear all kinds of things, seeing the light, mother and father, grandfather there talking to them. I've even heard them say that they talked to Jesus. Kind of struck me back when they say they talked to Jesus when they were making the video. They put a kind of picture up there like they wanted to have in that Bible, and I know the power of the picture in the Bible ain't Jesus. So that kind of made me question a little bit what they were talking about with Jesus. But then I understand why they use that Jesus picture, so I don't have no problem with it. But what I want you to know, that God wants you to know that you are loved, that you are not alone. Everything that goes on, God is with you. Yes, there is a way that brings us peace, prosperity, freedom, and joy, and the dreams of our lives being lived by us. God wants us to know that. But that is by doing some simple things. Let me tell you, it's very simple, ladies and gentlemen. All these law books, all these judges, all these, kind of things trying to tie what's legal and what's illegal and what's acceptable and what is not acceptable. It's all stuff that comes out of being crooks. All of that stuff comes out of being deceptive, being heartless. My God ain't too mad with you. You know, you didn't make your heart like this. You were programmed like this. But I'm here to share some information with you and give you an opportunity to deprogram yourself, because life is not that complicated. Life is not complicated where you got millions of people in prisons, you got people homeless, you got people starving, you got people in the streets, you got wars, you got all this kind of stuff going on. That's because you don't know what you're doing. Life is very simple. The resources of life that are required or needed to do anything that humankind might want to do have already been planted in the earth by that power that you can't see, so that when you determine how you can use it, it can be available for you to use to do the things that you want to do. But God's plan is this. All of that stuff belongs to all of us. And we all got some basic essentials that we have or requirements for existence. But they're things that we need. And since we need them, each of us got a gift that allows us to participate in the manifestation and production of these goods and services, so that by doing, we all become owners of part of it. And so what we need, want, and desire, we can get it at our leisure. That's God's plan. There's no lying, no cheating, no stealing, no killing, no hating, no racism, no bigotry, none of that stuff. So while you're listening to Republicans and Democrats tell you all kind of stuff, none of them tell you what I just told you. You don't even hear what I just told you in the churches. They'll tell you about planting seeds, and God can give you some money so you can get you a nice car and a nice house while everybody else is suffering. They'll tell you that. They'll tell you to come over here and prosperity preaching. They'll come over here and tell you that you're with this big group, this big mega church, you're on the right track, and your leader down front don't worry about nothing. But people all across America and all across the world have to worry about life. Now, that's to tell you, ladies and gentlemen, God ain't mad. You've accepted that. That is not God. That is you. That is you accepting everything that happens. You accept the richness that people got, the billionaires, the multi-billionaires. You accept that. You accept the multi-millionaires. You accept the people that are really wealthy, that have stolen by legal. You know, that's not just knowing. We didn't try to make them look dirty. They set up a system that said it was okay. So they own the oil. They own the resources of the earth. And they milk it down until they can work it through the system that requires that we have to get money. So the life that we were designed to live, we never live it. We spend our whole darn life trying to get a little money so we can do something on to retire, to find out they want to cut out your Social Security, cut out your Medicaid and Medicare. That's what you go through, ladies and gentlemen. This is living in the world. But God, when they say you don't have to do that, all the stuff, the resources belong to us. We belong to one another. We all got something to do to make the goods and services available in such an abundance that none of us ever have to suffer. And no man is above us. You are above no man. You above no woman. No woman is above you. We are all children of the Almighty God. We listen to the God and we follow what's righteous, and we don't listen to nothing that's unrighteous. So we're living in a world where everybody seems to be doing unrighteous stuff. Now, what I mean by unrighteous, it's righteous as far as it goes because they don't know any better. But if you know better, then it's unrighteous to you, and so you're obligated not to abide by it, but to set a new example. That's your obligation. If it takes you out of life right away, then that's where you belong, out of life right away. You don't belong in this hellhole. Understand, you don't belong in this hellhole. You got to fix this hellhole up right so you can live here. Fix this hellhole up right so you can live here. And you're not going to live here with the turkey around here making it stink. But you're not finna put them in jail. You're not finna beat them side the head. You're not finna go get a gun to kill them. Why? Because they don't know any better. And if you know better, they will know you know better because you'll act better. And when you act better, they'll get mad and kill you. And they will say, ooh, that one was real. Because the rest of them still hanging around trying to find an excuse. But that's okay. In time, it's going to work out fine. I just want you to know, ladies and gentlemen, that my near-death experience has said to me, I want all you guys to have your needs met. And when you can do that, I can do that at the same time. I ain't got to feel like I'm better than you, or you better than me. I commit my life to do the right thing because I don't supposed to be here. I am here. It give an extension in my life for one reason, to let you know that the pain and suffering that you're enduring, you created yourself. And God wants you to know that if you want a better life, stop praying and start doing, making it better. Thank you so very much for this time. Eddie Marcus saying goodbye until next.